Hi, this is Bastiaan, and this is my annotation of a game I played against the French defense using the Paulsen variation. And game starts with e4, d6, so we're seeing the French defense. d4, quick control of the center, and d5. So there are several possibilities. White can advance, capture, but at this point I'm playing knight c3, the Paulsen variation, with the idea that if pawn takes, I can recapture and still be ahead in development. Black plays knight c6, knight to f3, and now book continues with knight f6, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, bishop b5, but this wasn't played. Instead of knight f6, black chooses to capture immediately. So pawn takes pawn was played, and white recaptures, and only now knight to f6. And the difference with this move order is that now white can play knight takes knight on f6 with check, and it doesn't look that strong because black can simply recapture with the queen and get his queen out. But actually that would be a mistake, because after queen takes, white can chase the queen with bishop to the g5. Now there are only two places for the queen to escape to, so a possible continuation would be queen g6, and white can continue development. Bishop to d3, continuing the pressure on the queen. f5, h4, h6, h5, queen retreats. Bishop f4 is just one possible continuation, and we can see white has a lead in development with 3 minor pieces out. Black's queen is in an awkward position, and this bishop is completely locked in. So recapturing with the queen is probably bad. And black recaptures with the pawn, so pawn takes knight. This does allow the fianchetto of the bishop and gives some control in the center. But black now has, of course, the double pawns, and it will be unsafe for him to castle kingside. So I continue with bishop to b5, hoping to double pawns as well, making it unsafe for black to castle either way. Bishop d7 in order to prevent the pawn doubling, and now c4, and c4 makes a nice pawn island in the center, but it isn't as strong as I thought it would be. It gives away a lot of the first move advantage to black. White still has a small edge left. Bishop d4 check, bishop d2, and a6. So now black is forcing the exchange. So take, 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 and if black can just get his queen out and castle queenside, black should be okay. And at this point, even the double pawns for white, making it unsafe for white to castle inside. So we're not going to allow that. d5, temporarily sacrificing a pawn. So pawn takes. Bishop is diagonal is still being blocked, and castle queenside. And now the main risk for black is rook e1 check. So if pawn takes pawn, we get rook e1 check, king f8, take, 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 king g7, take, take, and already we have forced an endgame, which is losing for black, of course. And right now black may feel free to double my pawns. Rook e7, and there's little hope for black. So after castling queenside, black is being forced to castle, but his king is still relatively unsafe. So now we recapture the pawn, and bishop retreats to d7, and rook to e1 to the open file. c5. Now we could recapture en passant, but actually the pawn is pretty strong for the moment with all the support he's getting, so I'm not going to recapture. Queen a4, hoping to create threats for the king. Frankly, Queen h6 could have been played immediately. d5, h4, getting more creases in the attack. h5, the black blocks, and now queen to h6. So my queen is still on h6, with the difference that I've passed the h pawns, and I can capture on h5. Bishop g4 to prevent that, and also to attack the knight on f3 on some cases. And d6. Now the reason why d6 is played is that I want to create an opening on d5 to escape the pin on the knight. But not only that, it allows knight to h2 to kick off the bishop. Afterwards, knight can take on h5 with mate on h7. So d6 is, I believe, the strongest move. Black continues with c4. And I continue now to d5. And now queen a5. And queen a5 attacks the rook on e1. So rook is being protected by the knight, and this actually prevents me from continuing with my plan of knight to h2 to kick the bishop. However, it releases the protection on f6. So best continuation now would be queen takes pawn and simply continue the attack. Now, if black were to try bishop takes knight in order to attack the rook, you can simply get a mate in a few moves. Rook g5 check, king h7 and queen g7 mate. But queen takes pawn wasn't played. Actually, I found a more forcing line. Rook e to e5. So this keeps the rook on the e file, so black can get the queen in the check, and threatens mate after rook g5 check, pawn takes forced, and rook g5 mate. But it looks like black can simply recapture, and he does. So pawn takes rook, and rook recaptures. So I've sacrificed the rook, but the situation remains. I'm still covering the e1 square for the queen, and I'm still threatening rook to g5 mate. So black tries f5 in order to block it. Queen g6 check, king h8, and rook to e7. And now black resigns because there's no defense against queen h7 mate on move 24. So that's the game, using the Paulsen variation of the French defense. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.